They've drawn their hand, but it looks like they're holding until they get the official time start. Ronald, I just want to confirm we are recording.
We've lost Ronald.
Confirmed we are recording.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to mute myself. You guys go ahead and start. I'm going to make a quick call to just make sure the timer gets started. If you don't recognize it, Marcel's playing the 30th anniversary edition cards, and the one that he just got, I believe, is the No Activators event. Has no effect on either player this game.
It's a very oppressive card, and you hate to see it whiff. So right off the bat, you see that Marcel is placing power cards, and Justin is actually placing teamworks, but it doesn't look like he can make the strings. So that might be something that Marcel is considering when he ventures.
All right, the clock has been started. Welcome to round 4, everybody. Round 4 of the Valhalla event. Phil Miller has won this event 2 years in a row. He's using to write his name on the Axe of Valhalla that Larry has for the 3rd year in a row. Sorry, that's Marcel playing the Cadillac. Marcel's looking to dethrone Phil Miller and win his first Valhalla event. So Marcel's got a lot of heat going there. He's got the negate. He's got 2 power cards down on the Starjammers, which is their inherent ability. He's got an 8, and he's got the ability to reset that venture. But Justin does have the negate, so...
Can you hear me so far, guys?
The avoid that can... I can hear you, Keith, yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry, I think my connection wasn't working right. All right,
no worries. So Justin has the avoid that can deal with the Raza. The card on the Starjammers, same as Ghost Rider's Penance Stare. It discards all cards placed to a character it hits. If it's successful, that character can't attack for the remainder of battle. And it can be avoided since it's a targeted attack. So Justin's having to do the math in his head right now that he needs to keep that avoid up until he's used some of his placed cards. He wants to keep the negate up so that Marcel can't just bet a low amount and then automatically run away. Now, the question is...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go.
No, that with that event in play, that's going to affect Marcel with both the if he has the discard and also with the Raza, because that means if either player draws or discards cards, the other person has to do the same. So that means if he ends up getting rid of 2 placed cards, say if he throws it at Reavers and it hits, then that means he would also then have to discard 2.
Very interesting. I didn't know by sight that one. That's one of the ones I don't know very well.
Yeah.
That's an any mission.
Yep, I designed that one actually. Squadron Supreme have always been one of my favorite comic book teams. They're the Marvel version of the Justice League, and so what that event does is, again, if anybody draws or discards cards after venturing, then the opponent must do the same.
So for those of you who don't know, Keith, former #1 ranked overpower player in the world, also did some game design on some of the earlier sets of overpower. So occasionally you will see a card come out that is Keith's creation. So Keith was actually the 1BMG founder who created cards before, and also has a hand in creating the new sets of cards that are coming out.
Looking forward to keeping the legacy alive.
Yeah, absolutely. So Marcel just bets 1 here. I think, you'll see this a lot with a Cadillac. Most people are going to place out that first hand, especially given that they've only got 1 defensive card. So right now, if Justin decides to just gun for Spawn, for example, Spawn can only block with an 8 and a negate, or if he goes for the Starjammers like he's doing, he just wants to keep his attacks above that 4, and the only thing they can defend with is a negate.
place. You use the
Oh,
8
I
to block.
thought that he. What did he use? I thought he had a 1 placed. What was that card?
The 6.
All right, so he blocks with a 6. He's going to throw the low hit, I guess,
Yeah,
trying to
because
chew up that placing advantage.
yeah, either let him take the hit or block with the 4. It's only coming
And
in
I
like
don't
a
think
2.
Yeah, I don't think you let a 1 multi hit on the Starjammers this early in the game. It makes it far too easy to KO them.
Yeah. And no third follow-up or second follow-up to the teamwork.
And just as we thought. So, Justin has an option here. Does he let it resolve? Or does he negate it? I think Justin made the right call.
Yeah.
Justin gets to play first. He goes into the next hand with an Any Hero Avoid, a 7, a teamwork that he should most likely follow up because it's the 6 strength, which means most power cards are going to follow it up, and a negate. He's got the same number of cards as Marcel, but I think card for card, he's got a tiny bit of an advantage, and he gets to go first, which is always a huge advantage in Overpower.
Yeah. And not only that, but with the attack coming as a strength from the Reavers through the teamwork, he could have an 8 energy follow-up up to that from the power card through X-Man, and then a 7 based on spawn 7 fighting. So this could be
Absolutely.
real big hits coming up.
If he can throw one thing when you guys are watching this, if you're a little new to really competitive tournament play, a lot of what the really experienced players want to do, they want to throw a hit for the first follow-up of a teamwork and get that 8 as the second one. All teamworks give a minimum of a +2 on us if they make the third attack in the string, the second follow-up. If you can follow it up with an 8 as your last attack and give it that +2, a lot of the characters' defense, like Spawn, for example, they only defend attacks of 9 or less. So boosting an attack to a 10 and having it be something that can't be negated, that's always your goal when you're trying to put offensive pressure out. And we can see that. Go ahead, Shawn.
Sorry, I was just, especially against the Cadillac, where they literally have one card in their deck that can block a 10 power card.
There's access to a couple other ones, and I've seen some trickiness before where people will play avoid a numerical attack from either Scarlet Witch or Starjammers, but it's certainly not a common strategy. And Keith, I think you called it. I'm looking at his hand. I think Justin has got a 6 fighting and an 8 energy, which we see go down. So he could he could do a 6, a 7, and then a 10. He's really got some offensive pressure. Now, Marcel just placed his second negate, so he's really doubling down on being able to defend specials. But I think the thing he's going to have to worry about is just the power card and teamwork offensive pressure that Justin's going to bring.
Yeah.
Now, we also have a lot of this is definitely a match of a very experienced legacy player who's been playing since his teenage years, Marcel, versus Justin, who I'm not sure what his experience was in the day, but he's certainly really new to getting back into it. He's only been attending tournaments for maybe the last year and a half. Obviously, as you see here, he's playing extremely well. He clearly is gaining a really good understanding of the game. I had a fantastic, really close match against him. He made a really innovative deck using a Muir Island home base last night, and I barely squeaked out that win in the Friday night for fun event. And again, I always love to see it. I love new players who come in, and I love watching them when they kind of crest that hill and start to become competitive.
Yeah, let's see, because Marcel has 4 cards in hand, and it looks like Justin, I think, has 3.
2. No, 3.
So it looks like Marcel is up 1 card. No, I think it's 12-12. I think they do both have. I think he's got 3 with an extra card placed. 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I think they have an even amount of cards. Justin's got 1 more down on the board. It's really tough to say at this point who's got much of an advantage.
Yeah.
I think what you're going to see is Justin really try to put that teamwork pressure on the Starjammers. He's going to stay away from that 5 intellect, He's going to stay away from Scarlet Witch's Inherent, and he's going to try to put Marcel on his heels, make him use all his defense out of his hand, and make him have to choose to stay in and lose a character or run. And that's really the decision you want to put people to in Overpower. You need them to have to decide, do I lose a character and become weaker in the future to gain the advantage now on my missions, or do I give up the missions and keep my character and hope that I can put more pressure on?
Yeah. Looks like Justin ventured 1. It'd be interesting to see if he tries to throw the 6 in his hand as the first follow-up, with Marcel not expecting that coming in like a 7, knowing that 10, the 8 plus 2, is coming later.
Looks like Marcel's doing his a little talking, a little hand motion. He's got 2 in his hand. He goes 2.
All right.
All right, let's see what Justin fires off.
It's interesting he only went 1. He has initiative and the teamwork string. He must not have a lot of team defense in his hand. He might be worried about defending Spawn with the counterattack.
He also could just, venturing. I think what I've always said this, you guys can tell me what you think. Knowing how much to bet in a given situation is the hardest skill in this game. It's what takes a game that would be a little simpler of a game without it and really adds that kind of predictive, complex math layer to it. It's really the heart of the game is figuring it out, and it's very difficult. So I think newer players will tend to be a little more conservative in their betting because they don't want to get too far down into a hole. Justin plays the teamwork. Marcel plays an older version of Confusion. The promo version that was in a comic book originally has Wolverine on the picture. Very cool piece of art. Marcel now has to figure out what he's going to do.
That was smart to target the Reavers. He noticed that the grids on the other 3 are all energy, so he might be thinking that the Reavers are weak, but he had the defense.
Interesting to see if he tries to start sucking out some of those negates. If he's going to throw the power cards to keep the pressure on him. Oh, look, conceding.
Yeah, that's had to have been going through his mind. Do I use my guardian angel to block the 8, or do I just let it hit and run? He chose to save it for another day.
And I think I agree with that. Marcel only went 2.
Yeah.
This puts Justin up 2 cards. He's got great cards placed. Not that Marcel's cards aren't great. Marcel's got a lot of heat too, but if Justin, he seems to have a very teamwork heavy build, and a lot of Marcel's defense comes from defending special cards currently. So Justin's got a 4 multi coming from Spawn. He's got a negate. He's got an ally. He's got a 4, a 7, and a 6 power card. And it looks like the 8 is a duplicate, and he must have another. Oh no, the 4 is a duplicate.
4. Yeah.
And I think a 7.
Wow.
So pretty powerful hand.
3 dupes from Marcel.
Marcel duped on his 5. He duped on his negate, and then I didn't see the other one. Did you see it?
For who? Justin?
For Marcel.
Marcel.
It was the spell of protection, the cursed card.
Cursed card.
Yeah. So they did have 3 because Justin realized he did have the dupe negate as well. So they each drop 3.
All right. So that keeps Justin ahead by 2 cards. Let's see card for card what Marcel's has.
Yeah.
Marcel puts a 2 and a 3 down, and ooh, interesting. I haven't seen anyone play this yet, so that's one of the new BMG cards. So we have classified the different cards. So you can play 4, make an additional attack in each color. Those are called ambushes, but we also added a 5 any power, make an additional attack. Marcel's playing that clearly just to get the extra point in venture when he needs to play it. That looked like a bet of 2 from Justin.
Yeah.
Marcel's got 1 in hand. He's got 2 in the top. Marcel could go 1 and run and just be in the same venture position.
I think that's what Justin was thinking. He's probably going to go 1 and run. He placed most of his hand. He's got 1. Justin has to keep him in this battle so he can dump some of those cards in his hand. He'd probably go 2, maybe even 3. Nope. I didn't see how much he ventured.
Justin ventured first and went 2. It looks like Marcel went 1. They both used a place card. Marcel's throwing this long string. Any heroes can now be used as follow-ups. They do not have to be the first card in a string. All new cards, you can see there's a tiny white icon on the right that denotes that the 5 is offensive. All of the new cards are going to have white coded symbols to denote offense, defense, remainder of battle, remainder of game, or whether or not they have to be the first card that's used in a turn. There'll be a 1 first, ST. If you could see it, there's a little bit of a glare. The Cheshire Cat is a first card. It must be the first thing you play in a turn. But any heroes no longer have that restriction. Another thing we did to balance them out more with battle sites.
Making him discard the negate, you would presume.
Oof.
I don't know if he did the negate or he did the avoid. If it was the negate, I think he would just immediately be negating. Whatever it is, it's going to eat up the negate, whether he targeted it or not. The negate is gone. That card's been negated.
Well, luckily he has the any hero avoid to still deal with Raza. That's definitely his looming threat.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing on Marcel's side of the board for sure. Marcel set him up so he is representing a full teamwork string. That's a little bit scary as well.
Yeah, 7-7-5 or 6-7-5 would not be fun to deal with. In the 6 teamwork from Spawn, and then the 5 on Witch, and then the 3 multi.
Now, he does have the 9 or less avoid in his hand. It'll be interesting to see Justin's calculation. I think I would be throwing the ally.
Yeah.
And then following up with the 4 and seeing if I can pull one of those negates. But he may also try to use the finite power to just guarantee the negate.
That's interesting. He targeted Spawn. You would almost certainly choose to target the Starjammers. Try to get that 3 used, and possibly take away that 3rd string attack from that teamwork.
Absolutely. Sometimes I think that the people are afraid to go when characters have cards that are going to block the thing that they want. They always want to try to pick the path that's the most likely to get the hit through. But sometimes you want to think of the block as your action. You want them to use the teamwork follow-ups and limit the ability to make the teamworks effective. So Marcel's doing a lot of thinking here. Does he negate the 4? Does he use up one of his 2 negates, his premier defense, for a relatively low hit? But if he does negate it, Justin won't get to throw the additional attack from the 4. Marcel, I believe, is out of cards in his hand, so Justin has perfect information on what he can and can't do.
Yeah. If he was going to negate, you would think that he would use the one from Scarlet Witch, because obviously that could dupe where the 1 per deck any hero wouldn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely how I would do it, and that's the same call he makes. Good call, Keith. Now let's see what he follows up with. I imagine maybe he doesn't follow up with anything, and Marcel concedes. He was nervous about the fire back, so he kept the 7 in hand. I may have thrown the 7. No, Marcel, knowing there's still an unknown card in your hand, and there's still a lot of things The 4 is exposed as the aspect. Marcel knows he has no defense for that other than the Doctor Strange card, which he doesn't really want to use because he knows he just duped on it. So Marcel's managed to increase... you got 2 activators. Marcel's managed to increase his...
2 events, sorry.
Yeah, 2 events. Marcel has 1 extra card placed now. Is that event... I believe that event is no cards with the word draw may be played. Marcel's got the Starjammers 11. Justin's just sitting on a handful of power cards with a teamwork, and he's got Hades. So he could pull the trick right back on Marcel. Place out, and then try to run away.
He does have initiative, but Marcel still does have that negate placed, so he might negate the Hades and then fire back with a full string. So Justin has to be worried about that.
I absolutely would be worried about that. Puts the 7 down on the Reavers. Now he's leaving Spawn a little exposed here, but he's also in a situation where Spawn has used 2 of the 9 or less avoids. We see the finite power on him, and his specific build with the Reavers backs up the 7 and the 8. So Spawn probably doesn't have that many cards if he was to die that are going to be in the deck and come up as unusable. Another teamwork goes down for Marcel, and a 3rd teamwork on the Scarlet Witch. This is the Cadillac when it is loaded for bear.
The Cadillac is going to Cadillac.
All right. This is a pretty important hand, so there's a lot of calculation going on. Marcel pointing at the event.
Now, do we know what Marcel's cataclysm is at this point?
I have no idea what Marcel's cataclysm is. Justin
no idea.
Went 2. He went 1 from the middle, 1 from the top. That's an interesting bet. I feel like in this situation, Marcel's got a pretty big advantage, but he also might just be worried about Marcel running and just loading up 8 more cards, a lot of which won't dupe with what he's got placed.
Well, again, he does have Hades. So he might be thinking show 2 and still be able to run.
That's a great point. It's sort of worked out for him now that he's going for Spawn. Spawn is who I want to be going for when he gets a negate on him like that. All right, we're going to see some Spawn on Spawn crime coming up here in just a moment. Marcel looks to be going 2 as well. He didn't place a negate, so either Marcel is pulling a very good play and keeping the negate concealed, although I think he only has 1 card, and we know he has the 11. If Justin can deal with that placed negate by killing Spawn, he'll be able to pull off that Hades, and there'll be nothing that Marcel should be able to do about it.
That is a tall order with the Spell of Protection and the 8 placed.
Yeah, there's a lot of figuring on Justin's side. Now, these guys don't have a view of the clock. Sometimes I feel like people get a little too much analysis in their head and end up beating themselves because they let the clock run too low. I feel like if it was me, I would just immediately fire off that finite power at the Starjammers, just force them to use that negate or be in a really bad situation venture-wise.
The problem with that is he doesn't have very high power cards in his hand for defense. He has his 7 place to Reavers. Yeah, all right, he's going to try to suck it out that way.
Marcel has to think now, does he want to negate it and fight this fight as much as he can, or does he just want to let it happen and keep that negate for something later? He knows he most likely only has access to one more in his deck.
That's very hard. Yeah, negating it would with Spawn only having a 2 power card placed on with Justin Spawn. You kind of get a you kind of start drooling at the mouth because you know that you could, depending on what's in his hand, you could get 3 full teamwork attacks on Spawn before he runs.
And he's only representing a couple of cards that can defend him.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's exactly what you're going to see. Yeah. I think you called it, Shawn. You're going to see him fire off that full teamwork string. No, just goes for the big 8 out of hand. So he's doing what we also said too. He's prioritizing attacks in his hand, knowing that Justin's in a position where he's most likely going to have to run. And those teamworks aren't going anywhere. Justin's not playing a strategy that's going to get rid of those placed teamworks. They're always going to be there, and they're always going to be a threat.
And if he lets that 8 hit, then that means that's so much KO pressure with 16 points.
Hmm.
And one thing we haven't seen is we haven't seen Justin's version of Pretty Boy yet. So next hand, Justin could get lucky and have the ability to make the Reavers unable to be attacked.
I think his decision to put X-Man in this Cadillac variant over Starjammers, I think you're going to see that his Cataclysm is the lockout. So he has 3 lockouts in his deck.
I think that a lot of people, I mean, I was going to go with X-Man too. You know, we're finally getting to a point where we're seeing enough diversity in the decks that people are bringing that people are actively trying to figure out what the meta game is going to be in the next tournament. And what we've been seeing all season is a huge percentage of the decks. So Marcel wins that. Justin does end up running. So we're seeing a huge percentage of the decks. He gets rid of a 7, a Spawn 9 or less avoid, and an 11. A lot of heat that isn't going to be in Marcel's deck for later. We're seeing a lot of decks that are playing the new home bases that allow you to bring basic universe cards. And those basic universe and training cards allow you to make power card attacks that, as we talked about earlier, are above a 9. And so I think a lot of people are leaning toward X-Man because he can allow you to just avoid a power card attack regardless of the value. And I think people are trying to hedge against that new meta of the Dracula's Armory and the Spartan Training Ground. I think it's an awesome thing that you're seeing in the game that didn't have a changing meta for years. It was completely stagnant. And these new cards are immediately changing both what people play and what people are preparing for.
No, absolutely. Like you said, with teamworks being so oppressive, the most of people's punch are those teamwork strings. So having the EE is probably a saving grace. Sorry, EE being the avoided power card.
No,
absolutely. I speak in overpower code.
So Justin has drawn a fantastic hand. He has the Any Hero Lockout. He has the 6 or less avoid for Doctor Strange. He has the avoid a power card we were just talking about. And he has the lockout for X-Man. So he's going to be able to lock out the Reavers. And then depending on who Marcel tries to go for, so Marcel is a duplicate 5, a duplicate
8. Yeah. And the other thing is, since he did have the duplicate X-Man EE, Marcel now knows that 8, which he thought might be almost unblockable as the 10, can be blocked.
And we'll see Justin absolutely hold on to it for that. I think you're going to see, you might see a 3 out of Justin here to try to make it Marcel fight. Because even if he bets a little bigger and loses, he really needs to get out from under this placing advantage that Marcel's generated.
Oh, two
Marcel
more he had to
drops
get rid of.
4 duplicates.
4 dupes, has a lot of teamworks. This is the time Justin fights. He's got 2 ways to lock down his team.
Yeah, I have to say this is where you need to try to take a character out if you're Justin. You need to bet enough that Marcel can't afford to run, and you need to just focus your attacks on a single character because you know you have the lockout to redirect those attacks. Justin puts the 4 down. And I think you'll see it too. I don't think you'll see Marcel go for spawn. I think Marcel is going to attack X-Man, try to pressure him to have to use the 8 on defense. And if Justin's smart and he leaves the 8 there, he'll be able to use that next lockout. You know, a lot of times I like to let a hit somebody if I have a lockout so I can absorb a few hits, lock them out, and then have the pressure to go back, kind of guarantee that the person has to run away that round.
I'm
Also
sorry.
getting low on time.
Has Venture happened yet?
No.
It has not. They just finished placing.
They're definitely going to be short on time on this one. Hopefully we get to see the end of this battle and see the next hand.
Everybody has reputations for different speeds. I will say Justin and Marcel are both people that do tend to think a little more and take a little more time with their decisions. And again, that is a lot of time at the detriment to the players. You end up in a lot of situations where your games are being decided on your bets at the end of a last hand that's called. Oh, but we'll see. Is Marcel...
Oh, just 1.
Marcel's just going 1. He wants to put himself in a position where he can go 2 for the win. Or he's going to run and just try to go harder later. No, he's fighting. He's got a 4th teamwork in his hand. I'm a big believer on anytime you can get the full 6 venture for that Doctor Strange card, I like to just fire it off.
You have to. Like we said, it's the cursed card. You will dupe on it. Now, I'm surprised he used the lockout there.
And not the 6 or less.
The 6 or less, but also if he could have used the 7 and the 4 that's on Reavers, he could actually let them die with a relatively small hit, and then spawn an X-Man are completely lockoutable. That's a new verb. Adjective.
You just need to avoid the power card on the 5.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Shawn. I'm not good at... I don't play a lot of lockout decks, and I'm so nervous to ever let a character die. I miss things like that. But you're 100% right. He could have just... Even if he loses the cards that are on him, you know, we see that Scarlet Witch can't really defend a lot from teamwork strings, and he's got the teamwork strings. He could have just let Reavers die, locked out his 2 characters.
And then just punched, yeah.
Marcel does have the negate. He can try to offensively negate one of them.
Now, you said they're both slow to act, and okay, fires with a 3 multi. That's interesting. He's just poking, so I think he's just doing enough actions, trying to get him to use some stuff. I think you're going to see Marcel run. He doesn't want to use up all his place cards. I don't think he wants to battle this one.
What is Justin going to do?
That was smart by Marcel. He knows. He has 3 teamworks. That multi could have followed any of them. But instead of throwing them, he just poked. Kind of hitting the ball back to Justin, making him act.
Yeah, they're getting really low on time, and Marcel is, I think the action's on Justin. He's the one taking the time, but
Yeah.
Marcel's going to end up in a position where he just is mathematically not going to have to fight the last hand if Justin doesn't get a few more in the completed missions pile.
Yeah, he is going to have to pull the trigger soon, or no cards in his hand are going to be able to give him a victory. Absolutely. He's thinking. He's thinking.
Yeah, we've been sitting here for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, decisions need to be made a little bit faster than this. You're gonna go to time, and you're gonna lose those games on time.
Right off the top of your head, gentlemen, who do you think is the fastest player, the fastest thinker?
I would say Derek.
Yeah, Derek Bertrand.
I was fishing for that answer. That man, that guy is a quick player. It's hard to keep up with him.
And I think it's a mistake. I think you got to take a deep breath and play at your own pace.
Yeah.
So he finally, Justin finally makes a decision. He throws the 4 fighting. Not a terrible call. He's putting on the pressure. The only thing exposed that can defend it is the 6 or less, which you want to get rid of.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Marcel
yeah,
makes a smart choice to
Yeah,
block from hand.
Now, if Marcel is forced to use that negate, that will be the last negate in his deck. So, but like you said, less than 5 minutes, it might not matter.
Trying to suck the 8 out.
Now we'll see. He fires in with the 7.
And that might take away, depending on what's in Marcel's hand, that might be the only way for him to use that fighting teamwork.
Took the hit.
I would take the hit in this situation too. The 8, like Marcel mustn't. It's 4 minutes, so Marcel just heard the 5-minute warning. I'm just gonna fire off the fighting teamwork, lead with the 8, and I'm up a venture at that point anyway.
Joe, were you able to see if Derek made the trip with the rest of his family?
Derek is here, yeah.
Oh, well, then hopefully we'll be able to show the people listening what we were talking about. Don't blink. He is quick.
He definitely is. I'll be interested to see what he's playing. I'm not sure what their records are. We had the pleasure of seeing Ty play on an earlier game. We know he's having a very good day. Both of those, they're brothers, Tyler Bertrand and Derek Bertrand, both fantastic players. You see them in a lot of top 8s. In fact, I don't know if I've ever been to a tournament where one of the 2 of them didn't make the top 8. If they're both there, at least one of them is making it, and a lot of times they both do.
Yeah. I remember playing Derek in Boston, and the speed of the game was so fast. Larry was just watching, commenting, saying, "How are you guys going? Why do you guys are just too fast? What is happening?" He couldn't keep up. He plays at a frenetic pace. He decides to block.
He decides to block with an 8.
So that takes away his follow-up for that fighting teamwork, but
and he concedes.
I believe he knows he's in a position where it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Well, no, now that goes down, Justin gets those in the top. They, unless they sit here and...
So at the end of 2 minutes, he will get a last hand?
So, yeah. So if they get the venture in before that clock runs out, they'll finish the hand they're in, and then they will always play that one additional hand.
Okay, so he is behind the 8 ball, but he can still try for the win.
All right, we have a 11, the Lockout, the Lady Deathstrike, a Street Prophet, and a Teamwork card, and it looks to be a Dupe 2 multi.
The Pretty Boy was the second card he drew, and if he was able to get Pretty Boy in the last hand, I think you could have seen him go for the win.
Marcel over on his side has a 9 or less Avoid, He's got a dupe of the card. You use it. You got to use that 6 or less. It always dupes. It always dupes.
We can't stress that enough, folks.
We got to tell you, sometimes in sports and card games, there is just superstitions you got to stick to, and that Doctor Strange card will always dupe if you don't use it.
Superstitions are only strange if they don't work.
So
Play
Justin's
Doctor-
starting to place, but if they don't get this venture in, then this is going to end up being the last hand, and that's going to put Marcel at a significant advantage.
Absolutely.
And nobody's fault, you know. Both players are taking a lot of time on their decisions.
Okay. Oh, that's
Marcel will place.
the Ed Kowalski card.
So that is a fan-made card. It's an Any Hero Avoid. But one of the big pillars of the community, Ed Kowalski, who very sadly passed away a couple Novembers ago. I think it was November. A couple winters ago, he unfortunately suffered a heart attack while he was shoveling his driveway and passed away. And it was a really big loss for the community. Ed was a very passionate member of the Overpower community. Everyone has stories about how generous it was, whether it was giving his home away for the tournaments that he hosted or giving away product to newer players who didn't have it.
I'm
Right, so
sorry
they have.
Yeah, they didn't venture before time is up. So this technically is going to be last hand, unfortunately, because it did look like Justin had enough punch in his hand to really make a go of it. But I don't know if he has the ability now.
We'll see. He's got to figure out what he needs. So now he's going to start doing some math. I think Justin. So it looks like he just went 2.
Is
Yeah.
he? What was his? Is he 3-2-2?
I think so.
And Marcel is.
I think he's 3-3-1.
3-3-1. So, this is one of the hardest parts of the game is learning the mission card math at the end to see who will win.
You really just. It's not super complicated. You move the missions and then you subtract the bottom from the top. So if Justin goes 2 and wins, that's going to leave him with 2 in the middle and 5 up top. So he'll have 5 points. Marcel needs to create a situation. I mean, at this point, it's anybody's game. Like, really, Marcel, whoever wins is going to win. Marcel just needs to not bet 3 at this point and give him extra cards. And then it's whoever wins this hand is going to decide the game.
Well, that's good. You hate to see it go down to math semantics.
He has 2 in the middle still, so he'll end up with 4 up top. If he loses, yeah, Marcel's just got to do a little bit of math here to find out. But I think it's basically going to come down to Marcel betting 2. Whoever wins is going to be ahead. It's all coming down to this, though. There's definitely a lot of conversation. You see Marcel's right leg is really jittering
Twitching.
up and down, so he's definitely trying to think this through. It's interesting. Justin has been able to sit on that avoid 1 attack from the first hand. Now, Justin's also in a position where he's looking to get that 11 through at the end of the hand. He sees the full avoid. He sees the negate. Really, the only 2 cards in the deck that can deal with that 11. And vice versa, he's got the avoid placed, but he kind of needs to keep that tied up for the Starjammer's Raza until he gets rid of all the placed cards.
Oh, Marcel is betting 3.
He's going 3. He's going big, and you're gonna see Justin get a card. And if it's a keeper, that's huge.
And I can't see exactly what's going on to do the math, but I trust that Marcel is going to do it right. Now, Justin hasn't drawn his card yet, so Marcel must be thinking about what he's going to do. He might have said, like, I'm just considering this, but hasn't called it yet.
So we know the Reavers have Pretty Boy. So I'd assume that Marcel would use a teamwork string to try to target them early in the battle. They
Justin
get
draws
lost.
his card. It is a Spawn 4 multi.
Oof. That's nice.
That is nice. That's almost and he has the pin on Spawn, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Now,
could.
unfortunately, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Shawn.
No, I was gonna say you could throw the chain 4 multi into the 1 per deck, force the negate, and then that's one of the 2 cards that could block your 11 from X-Man, which is huge venture at the last hand.
Absolutely. It's a little bit unfortunate that he drew the Lady Deathstrike card for the Reavers at this point, because there's not going to be another hand, which makes it a bit of a useless card. So those who don't know, Lady Deathstrike allows you to go into your opponent's deck, choose a card, and discard it into the dead pile. So you can generally choose an event if they have one that's really damaging against you, like the one we saw in an earlier match that said no energy power cards could be played. But unfortunately, when you're in the last hand, it doesn't really help you to do something that affects the coming hand. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, the only way that would be beneficial is if he's holding something in his hand and wants to punt the turn. But with all the actions and all the teamworks, I don't see him wanting to give it back to Marcel.
All right, Justin's going to start off. I think he's probably going to do exactly the string you said. He's going to play the aspect. That's the 4 intellect, and he can make a follow-up with any character. I think you're going to see him follow up with the 4.
Yeah, probably against Spawn to keep the pressure on, because then it's KO pressure too.
Yeah.
I think Marcel's trying to decide if he wants to use the 9 or less. And the other thing is Marcel doesn't have a lot of cards in hand. Marcel lets it hit.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Marcel doesn't have a lot in hand, so keep, anything above a 2 is going to take one of his full team defenses. If you can throw your low venture cards and get Marcel to use up his defense,
Nice.
you open up the avenue to get the high venture cards later.
So he didn't negate the string. He's probably waiting for the pin, which of course he's gonna have to negate.
And I would throw the pin right now. You've got the 11 in hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You don't want, you'd lose a teamwork, a follow up, maybe your only follow up to those other 2 teamworks, and your most powerful card, Raza. This is a must negate situation.
Well,
gotta
or the
say-
avoid. Don't forget he does have the Guardian Angel too.
So he
Okay.
blocks it with the angel. He saves the negate.
Interesting.
So that's actually a little bit unfortunate for Justin, because the only thing he can really try to suck the negate out with is that 7 at this point. So I think he's got to pressure Starjammers. He's got to create a kill situation that's going to get that negate used up, or the 11's not going to be useful. But I'm going to call it right now. I think Justin's going to pull this off. I just have a feeling.
Because
this is
Marcel only
obvious.
has 1 power card as well placed, so he's got 3 teamworks, but he can't back him up.
So he can't back him up. Justin doesn't know that, but he has to use the avoid on that Raza. That was all his juices on X-Men.
And I think Justin just needs to fire off some of these teamwork strings and just get that pressure on him.
Honestly, now that Raza's gone, I might even switch gears to try to target the negate. You're risking a -5 situation, but
you are right though. If you
get rid of that negate, then your 11 is going to
hit. Auto hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but then again, he wanted to keep the heat up on Starjammers, figuring that may kill both those other 2 placed teamworks.
That's true.
It's true. If he pressures him to have to use them. Let's see where he goes.
Yeah.
He's taking your advice. Keith, I think he heard you.
The unfortunately on Starjammers is a 2, so Justin doesn't have anything low enough to get rid of it.
Keith, I texted him the strategy right after you said that. That's why he's going there.
Scandal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right, Joe. I think power card advantage is going to Justin, and even though Marcel has held those teamwork cards for a couple of hands now, he just doesn't have enough to fuel him.
Yeah, 4 for the KO.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that was a mistake by Marcel too. If he knows he wants to keep jammers alive, he's got to just block the 6. Why wait and block the multi when this is the last hand and venture's all that matters?
Venture.
He just basically gave up for venture to Justin for no reason unless there's something in his hand I'm not seeing.
Draw
Oh,
3.
which could be that. He may be banking that he's going to draw another one. He may be mathing out his deck.
No, that's true. That
One,
was a good play.
2, 3.
Now, if you were Dave McMillan, you'd have to put all 3 of those in your dead pile because you always whiff on draw 3.
Luckily, it's Marcel, and he keeps all 3.
Oh,
He didn't look. I don't think. Yeah, but he got
That's
another. He did get at least one of them's a teamwork, so that's not great.
hopefully he drew some power cards to fuel his attacks.
7 for
Now,
the
this is
KO.
the big play. This is the big play. Did he draw something in hand he's going to defend that 7 with, or is Justin going to snake out that negate? Now, I got to tell you, if he's doing the math here, if he gets the negate and Marcel does not dump one of those cards on Starjammers, he's opened himself up to getting attacked and just losing them both.
Yeah.
All right, he's open for the 11. Now, he can't throw it right away because the 11 for X-Man is a multi-power card, but it makes it so no one else on Justin's team can attack after. See, now, if I'm Justin, I let this hit, wait for him to throw another attack.
Well, hold on. Maybe not
That's for
because
the kill.
we don't know if
That's-
he has a backup for the spawn teamwork because the 8 on X-Man can't be used for that, but it can be used up the
That
lockout.
4 is for the kill, so you wouldn't want to let that happen.
I thought it was
Especially
an any power and a strength on him.
It's an any power 8 and an 8. So it's
no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. He's
well,
calling. That might be the game right there. Wow.
what do you
Marcel.
call it?
Yeah, of course he
energy.
called energy, and that's going to get the 11 as well out of his hand. The
Well, look
11
at
goes
that,
down.
folks.
The 8 goes.
Just like the first game, we had an amazing back and forth, and it was.
I mean, this isn't over yet. Don't forget,
one
depending on
card.
what Marcel has, he only potentially has the 8 venture because we know he's got the dead teamwork in his hand. Justin
Lot in
still
his
does already
hand, though.
have 10.
has
He's
a
already
lot.
got 10. Yeah.
Justin has
let's
no
see.
more venture, so we'll see. It might have just been decided there. Fantastic draw 3.
So now this is where if I'm Justin, I'm just playing the Lady Deathstrike. I'm just.
Stalling.
What's he doing?
Yeah, punting. Yeah, that's
Oh, he can't concede.
that's the end of the game. What?
Maybe there was the only thing I can think of is there was an issue with the timer, and that they're going to play an additional hand. So we may see that. We may have been wrong about this being for game. There may have been an issue. Yep.
Okay,
Apparently our timer was off. They
Good.
must have got the venture in just under the wire, and they're going to play one more hand for last hand.
Mail your angry letters to Greg Costa in Cumberland, Rhode Island.
So unfortunately, guys, I have to get rolling. I wish I could stay for this
Oh.
last hand, but I have to go.
Well, it was very nice having you here, Keith.
Yeah, thanks.
thanks.
I'm glad I was able to be there for the first 4 rounds. Very exciting. So you guys have to text me and let me know how it turns out. But good luck to everybody, and you guys, good luck with the rest of the commentating.
All right, take it easy, Keith. Thanks for coming.
Thanks very much, Keith.
My pleasure.
Well, so Justin's in a very tough situation. He's going to have to bet extreme amount of cards here to put himself in a position to win this. Marcel's in power pack, so he's going to certainly be able to fuel those teamwork. So
Yeah,
I think it's going to be very tough for Justin to pull this one out at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, X-Man had that 7 placed on him for a while, and he couldn't throw it because of all the negates he's looking at. So that really just ate up X-Man's placing play slot, where he could actually put stuff down that could benefit the game. But so he doesn't get to bring the lockout. He doesn't get to bring the 11. Yeah, he's in a very tough situation. He's down 4-2 placing advantage, and I didn't see how many he discarded for dupes.
So I believe the card that Marcel just played is the all power cards may be played by any character this battle.
Which is great when you have 3 teamworks in your power pack.
Very good.
I have an update on the brackets. Phil Miller is in the lead, just beat Vlad.
So Phil Miller is undefeated with his Cadillac deck.
Yeah, 4-0. Good job. Is it 4-0 or 3-0?
Or no?
This is round 4.
Yeah, 4-0 for Phil. Someone's got to put some sugar in the tank of that Cadillac, or he's going to run away with it again this year.
So I think Justin is in a situation right now where if he bets 5, the best he's going to do is tie Marcel. If Marcel, he would end up with 5 up top and 2 in the middle. That'd put him at +5. So no, this is actually interesting. Marcel's in a crappy position. Marcel has to bet 1 from the middle. So if Justin does go 5, he could go 4 and go for the tie against Marcel, and then it's decided by how many characters you have left alive, which may be a strategy, but no, he's going to go 5 and go for the win, it looks like. They're still talking. Oh, no, it's not official. He could go 4, beat Marcel, and then just hope that he has more characters alive. This would be a great time to have the lockout with the Reavers.
Oh, the Reavers lockout. He placed the 4. So he wasn't able to place it and carry it over. The 7 on
Marcel
X.
draws 1,
Yeah.
2, 3. All right.
Yep.
It's
Justin's got
doesn't
a
look
curse
like he
card.
Yep, he's duplicates on. He's thrown it down just to demonstrate how awful it is to not use that card. They're not even going to play it out. He's just Marcel kept all the cards. Or are they throwing us off with the handshake, guys? If you're ever on camera in a feature match, don't offer the handshake for the hand, because then we think you're done.
And now we look dumb.
All right, Marcel has bet his 1. And he's going to finally start throwing these teamworks we've seen placed for the entire game.
Well, he finally has the power cards to do so.
He throws the teamwork. Justin has the disorient opponent. It avoids the attack with the initial teamwork and ends the string. He does not get to make any more.
Oh, is Marcel completely in the power?
Yeah.
I do believe Power Leech. There we go.
Oh, snap.
That is huge. Never count Justin out. That's fantastic.
Oh, what has he got? So let's see what he called. We're assuming he's going to call energy here.
But he has a lot of multi-power cards in his hand that can dump towards it. So he
still 4 cards. So he dumps a 5 multi.
Why did he show? What is going on here? There's I am lost, my friend. I guess I guess they just said that Justin scooped and said game over.
No, I think okay, I'm going to put this on pause, Shawn. You theorize. I'm going to go find out who won.
Okay. Yeah. He threw a power leech. He tried to suck out as many as he can. He might have either gotten everything that Marcel could have used to fuel those teamworks, or he didn't get enough and he's like, there's nothing I can. But it did seem like Justin had a couple of venture positive cards in his hand. So yeah, he might have just pulled it out. Getting to the power pack a hand later might have been the difference. Who knows? We'll have to wait for Joe.
According to the brackets, Marcel won.
Oh, no. So he threw it, Hail Mary. It wasn't enough to stop all
right, I am back with the skinny. So what had happened is there was a duplicate card in Justin's hand, which meant that he automatically had to forfeit the venture. So Marcel Marcel ended up winning. That's an unfortunate thing. There's not much you can do. You know, when you play a game where you have to bet based on the information, if you accidentally keep too many cards, that affects it. So so Marcel ended up winning it on that situation.
On that unfortunate ruling, but it's in place for a reason. Well, they played a great game.
It was a great game, yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens. We've all done it. You know, it is a mistake by Justin, and you know, Marcel's exactly right. He made a bet based on what he thought the other player had. Yeah. So that's where we're at, guys. Marcel picks up the win. Justin played a great game against him. He definitely
that's
right
worthy
in it till the end to take him out, and we'll.
It's worthy.
I
of his
think
negate,
they
but
were the last
does
match.
have that lockout.
Everybody else is wrapped up, so we're going to jump
right
into the next round pretty quickly here. So I'm going to go offline for just a second, but within 5 minutes, I think we'll be into round 5.